Thanks. Welcome all. Thanks for joining. It has been a very challenging time. As we were discussing, we have started with the lockdown 5. Chennai has taken a different turn, and we had to start with one more lockdown. Of course, this has been one of the strictest one. We thought we will make it more productive, and we thought we going by the series of discussions we had. So many discussions on personal finance. We had discussions on health. This time we thought we will bring in a expert. When we approached Lakshmi, she has readily accepted it. Thank you, Lakshmi. Welcome once again. Lakshmi Iyer, as we know, is Chief Investment Officer, Debt of Kotak Mutual Fund. Very experienced, almost 2 decades of experience. She was also working as research analyst before taking up the fund management position. Very reputed, very well-known speaker. She has spoken in many forums. She has a very great following in all those forums. So she is there with us. We are very privileged to have her with us today. And more interestingly, she makes it very simple with all kind of analogies. That has been the most favorite part of her, and I'm sure she will start with that here too. With this, let me not take much time. We have few announcements. When we are there, please keep yourself in mute mode so that the presentation flow do not get affected. We can have the question and answer by end of the session. So that is something which we can have, so that we could able to go ahead with that thing. I think some disturbance is coming on with respect to the volume. We request you to mute yourself, so that only the speaker takes the charge and taking it forward. So without taking much time, Lakshmi, you can take over the stage, and you can start with the talk. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, RK. Hi, good evening once again, everyone. Before I start, I see 2 people still who are not on mute. I have a kind request. Please be on mute. It is just so that the flow of conversation that we are having is not disrupted, and we are able to conduct this very peacefully. This is a virtual world. It is day 90 almost that we at Kotak have been working from home, especially the investment team. And earlier what I thought was when it started, I thought that இது முடியவே முடியாது, இது ரொம்பவே கஷ்டம், all those kind of thoughts came into the mind, only to realize at the end of 3 months that it has been very effortless. Point number 1, everything that you want, everything that you think, everything that you did not think has actually happened in the last 90 days. We've all learned, or we've heard of the 4 P's in marketing. In the market, we are seeing actually 3 C's of the market. One is the COVID of the medical world. Second is the cyclone which we saw. It came, of course, in the east and northeast part of India, and very selectively it was a touch and go in Mumbai and certain western states. Chennai still continues to feel like Rajasthan, I'm assuming, hot and dry. And the third C is the COVID attack on mutual funds when FT decided to wind down their schemes. So 3 C's of financial world we have actually seen, or 3 C's which impacted the financial world we have seen in the last 90 days. And if we have been able to survive all of that sitting at home, it doesn't feel like a lockdown. It actually feels like a lockup. So you have decided to lock yourself up and decide that if this is going to be the way forward, so be it. So on that note, I hope all of you are absolutely safe and secure in your respective homes, sipping your evening cup of coffee. In Chennai, I'm assuming that is the favorite. I belong to South India. I am from Kerala. Actually, I am a Palakkad Iyer, so I am the borderline of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, so Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and therefore Tamil is my spoken language, but that is the only thing I have about being Tamilian, because I somehow don't seem to be having a liking for coffee, nor do I have a liking for tea, nor do I have milk. So what actually I enjoy is just a hot cup of water, which I just had, because in the last so many days, vocal cords have been the most exercised. Everything else has gone in for a complete toss. So anyways, so I just thought I will break the ice by making that round of introduction, because the topic that I want to discuss, and RK said that we've had topics on health and all of those, so today we will discuss finance. Actually, I was about to tell him, even I'm going to be talking about health today, and the health is financial health. And why is it so important? Because the way we take care of each part of our body, Anaka, immediately see, I have been forced cook in the past 90 days. I had tweeted a few days back that ordering from Big Basket has become my hobby. Netflix has become my binge watch. Cooking has become my compulsion. So in one of those compulsion moments, I actually ended up cutting my thumb yesterday, not by cooking, but I went to look out for something and I had a minor cut. But the moment that cut happened, what I did was immediately I stopped all what I was doing. First drawer la poita, I picked up a bottle of Savlon, put it over there. I tried to put some haldi, which is the turmeric, which is the age-old recipe that grandmoms have taught us, and the blood was continuously leaking. It was not stopping at all. So I had to put an end to that. And once that happened, then I put a band-aid around it. Now you will be wondering, why am I giving you these examples? I am giving you this example just to share with you that the moment I had this small little injury, I did not chop off my thumb. Eklavya mari agalena. It is very difficult to behave like Eklavya, frankly. So I didn't really put an end or saying, this thumb is giving me pain. So I need to chop this thumb off, because that would have inflicted more pain. But somehow I see in today's markets where there is pain all across, and needless to say, the COVID emergency in the medical world has inflicted enough and more tortures on the financial world. But I see that the moment investors are inflicted with pain on their portfolio, the way I got inflicted with pain on my thumb, Tamme vatti potuduva. That has been the immediate port of call. Ki let us redeem. You'll call up RK and say that this performance is not good. This NAV is in losses. Let us exit and get out. Now, just imagine if you have done that to your thumb, what would happen? I don't think we would have had 10 fingers at all, because at various points in time, some part of our body gets injured, and I don't think that is the way out. Now, I want to give you a feeler as to how disastrous or how severe the intensity of this pain is, which has been inflicted by this small little colorless looking or anonymous looking virus called COVID. 81 countries have induced monetary measures. As we speak right now on the 20th of June, 81 countries have cut rates. You can name it Botswana, Uruguay, to US, to UK, to India, to China, to you name the country, Sri Lanka, everyone is on a cut. When is the last time you saw something like this? I have never seen. So I'm assuming you have also never seen. We never lived through the Spanish flu for the simple reason that markets were not there, we were not there, it doesn't matter. I don't think anybody was even born at that point in time, but I'm saying even if we have read through it, we've realized that at that point in time the base was very low. Imagine you're climbing Mount Everest. I don't want to climb. I am climbing my kitchen. That is more than enough for me. That is Everest climb for me, because I use the Everest masala very much for my cooking. But the point is, imagine when you're climbing Mount Everest, base irundaka, you don't feel the pressure. Then when your Sherpa or your guide is giving you 2 oxygen cylinders, you think he's an idiot. You say, why do I need? My lung capacity is very good. I have enough and more oxygen. You realize finally that this oxygen, this 2 cylinders, oh my God, if my Sherpa does not have a 3rd cylinder, will I actually survive? So that is the comparison between what you saw in 1918 Spanish flu vis-a-vis what you're seeing right now. India alone is close to a $2 trillion economy. US itself is a $20 trillion economy, almost 10x the size of India. So that is the kind of pain that this entire COVID emergency has cast on the world. How is it possible that any part of your portfolio which you have invested, apart from gold, I will come to gold last, that is not the agenda of today's discussion. How is it possible that it is not intact? There will be some pains, there will be some cuts, there will be some bruises. But what is important is that we have to fix it. And how will we fix it? World central bankers are trying to fix it. Indian central banker, what have we done in India? We have done 2 back-to-back rate cuts. April policy we advanced it to March. We did a surprise rate cut in the month of March. In the Masatla policy we advanced it to the month of May. We had a rate cut in the month of May. Now the next monetary policy decision is going to be sometime in August. I do not know if there will be a rate cut or no, but the point I'm trying to say is that every entity in the country, whether it is a government or the governor, they are leaving no stone unturned so that they try to combat this medical emergency. Another interesting thing I want to share with you is that not only has the central government acted, even the central governor acted, even the government has acted. You have seen the kind of packages that they have announced. You have seen that they have done an extremely tightrope walk. 3 rating agencies, Standard & Poor, Moody's and Fitch. Out of 3 people, Moody's was 1 notch above India for investment grade. They downgraded India. They have realigned to the other 2. But look at S&P, look at Fitch. They have not downgraded India. What did S&P say? S&P was the latest in their commentary. What did they say? FY 2021 is a washout, but FY 22, they expect India to grow at north of 8 to 8.5%. Second is, they also made a statement applauding India, saying that we have not been extremely extravagant. It is like this, that we are sitting at home, our needs are very few, we are rotating clothes, we are not going out and meeting people. Why do we keep online shopping and calling for clothes every day? There is no necessity. So likewise, the government has also done the same thing. They have not gone on a spending binge because they understand if they do that too much, there will be a downgrade for India, and that is the last thing that we want at this time. I had a cut in my thumb is okay, but if I would have by mistake slit my wrist, I would be in the hospital. So I think they don't want to slit the wrist. It is okay with a thumb injury. It is absolutely fine. So I think that is where the markets have realized that there is no point trying to outguess what the central banker is going to do. There is no point outguessing what the government is going to do. It is important and mindful that they have been extremely cautious and calibrated in their approach. And the good news is that the Indian economic data is also supporting the markets at the current juncture. Look at the inflation. For looking at inflation, look at your last 3 months expenditure pattern. Credit card bill is there a fuel bill in that? Is there a PVR or a Spice or a Spic Cinema kind of, or a Satyam Cinema bill over there, or a popcorn or a mall shopping bill over there? Answer is no. The entire thing is either your grocery shopping or your vegetables, your fruits, your sanitizers, your mask, all of that is there as your credit card bill. So when on the 12th of June, we had to release the CPI inflation or consumer inflation, the government said there is no data point. Data point is nobody has done consumption. What do we compute inflation? But when the producer inflation came out, in manufacturing inflation, that came negative. Negative means we are in a deflation zone. Last we saw WPI or wholesale index negative was in 2015 November. That is telling you that in India, interest rates cannot go up, which means that your bank account is not going to give you rates which you like. It is going to give you rates which the bankers like. Bankers will come and tell you my way or highway. So if you like it, you give me. If you don't like it, you go away. But it is mutual funds who are telling you that please come to us. There is a chance. There is a possibility that you will get your return. Okay, so you say, okay, fine, I agree. I'm not going to go to a bank. I will come to a debt mutual fund, for example. But then you want the mutual fund NAV to work like a dead man's heartbeat. How is it possible? How is it possible? Even whether you're an infant or whether you're a 85-year-old man or woman, or you are a 30-year-old or a 15-year-old, your heartbeat has the pace at which your heartbeat is moved will have some waves. And that is exactly what market volatility is all about. which is why we tell investors that look, interest rates in India will not go up for the next 3 to 6 months, for the next 6 to 12 months, unless there is going to be big bang spending. We are going to go to GRT, or we are going to go to any of the jewelry shops, Kalyan Jewellers shop, loads of jewelry. Gold imports are down 8%, by the way. You and me are not buying gold because gold prices have gone up 45-50%. Indians are extremely sensitive to the price of gold, and there are a lot of women in this meeting today. I'm sure you'll agree. You will say, "Rombave vela koodittu wait panni vaangalam." So that is called elasticity of demand. So a lot of people are holding on to it. They are not buying. So gold imports in India are down 8%. So all that is telling you that if interest rates are going to remain comfortable, if inflation is not going to go up, and if rate cycle is going to continue, how should you plan your investments? First thing I tell people, don't trust Google. For recipes, you can go to YouTube, you can go to whatever, but for investments, please go to your advisor, and your advisor is right in this room. So that is point number one. Point number two is there is no one size fits all. Everybody will tell you, twins mari irkiyal, twins mari irunda pora. The behavior is very different. Likewise, both of you all might be same age group, 2 or 3 of you might be similar kind of requirements, but investment needs are extremely different. And I call fixed income like the Bata footwear. Bata footwear, for those of you who have used Bata at least once in your lifetime, know that Bata has an all seasons footwear. You can use that footwear in the summer, you can use that in winter, you can use there in rains, and you can use it in Chennai for sure, because I know my in-laws live in Chennai. Chennai lo ore weather da, it's always summer. Then it starts raining. So I'm saying that is the kind of fixed income opportunity that you have. Fixed income offers you a product, a solution for every interest rate cycle. Today, interest rates are coming down. You can put in short-term funds, you can put in dynamic bond funds. There are various opportunities. But you have to be mindful that there are two key risks that even Lord Brahma cannot stop a fixed income manager from preventing it. That is interest rate risk and credit risk. So if you are investing, as I told you earlier, that fixed income portfolio, whichever investment you make, you put it in gold, you put it wherever you want, it is not possible that the prices will not fluctuate. Look at the house that you're staying in. Imagine if you bought it 3 years back. Today, the value of your house 3 years back doesn't matter whether you're in Chennai, you're in Chetpet, you're in Coimbatore, you're in Mumbai, doesn't matter. The price point of your house 3 years back vis-a-vis today is only down. So today, the price of your house is lower than what it was 3 years back. But the value of your fixed income 3 years back was lower than what it is today, which means every fixed income product that you invested in 3 years back has only made money for you. But if you would see your investment every day, every hour, every 3 hours, every 10 hours, Franklin Templeton happened, 6 funds wound down. What did investors say? Oh, ella fund moodi pottu pura, but they will put their lock and they will go out. Mutual funds are not chit funds. Please understand. There can be one-off instance, which is a COVID extreme scenario, but mutual funds are not here to run away. We have mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, great-grandfather. And when I'm saying all this, we have regulators. There is a SEBI sitting on top of us. There is a trustee sitting on top of us. There are multiple entities who are sitting and who are trying to sit and control what we are doing and how we are doing. So therefore, I would urge each one of you on this call is that panic exiting. For mutual fund industry, there is a category called credit. I'm sure some of you would have invested in this. In the last 30 to 40 days, the kind of outflow that this category had in mutual funds was, the quantity is the number which comes, the amount that comes in the mutual fund industry over 30 months. That is a kind of outflow that the mutual fund industry had in 30 days. Imagine the size and the outflow quantum across the country. After that, after this kind of a torture test, okay, not one single mutual fund shut down. What is it telling you? It is telling you that mutual funds definitely are a diversified way to own your monies, to plan your financial investment, but panic will only cause pain. Trust me, you will not gain. Again, there is an example to prove it. Look at just the month of May. May 2020 last month ninga paataka credit funds have delivered at least 2 to 3% absolute return. Annualize panna 25-30% return ungalku kadachirukku. But if you had exited saying that, oh, ellame world is going to come to an end, world is going to come to an end, what will you do with your money? Your money will go only into the bank, even you will not be able to use it. But people did that. Investors exited, went into that, and the resultant was a chaos. So my humble request is plan your asset allocation. 3 masa panam irundaka, please go into ultra short term. 3 years, if you have money, then you can come into duration funds, credit funds, whichever you like. And it is like a proper thali. Dakshin, I'm sure you would have gone to Dakshin, you would have gone to Analakshmi, you would have gone to any other place. They start with starters, they give you parpu vade, they give you rasam, but they also end with paisam, or they end with adapradaman. So the point is, and in the nadula, they give you fryams, they give you papadam, they give you rice, they give you parpu. So you have carbohydrates, parpula proteins irukku, vadela fats irukku, there is sweetness in the paisam. All of it is required. Have you ever gone to a restaurant which serves you every day only curd rice? There is no restaurant which will serve that for you. So therefore, in your asset allocation plate, everything is required. Equity is required. Yesterday I was on a client call for one of the private bankers, and one of the client asked me question, what would you suggest in this market, equity or debt? I said, it is like asking me, should I drink Red Bull in summer or limbu pani in summer, lemon juice? I said, you need both. Red Bull is like caffeine, it is an energy booster. Equity is your energy booster. You need that in your portfolio, no doubt about it. And lemon juice or lemon water is a stabilizer. It is an energy, not an energy booster. It is a stabilizer. It's a refresher. That is debt or fixed income. You require both in your portfolio. Every day, Monday to Friday, if you're going to drink only Red Bull, and then you say, Ratri tukame vardale, then how is it possible? Because your excessive energy, mind is so alert, it's not possible. So you have to tone down. How much caffeine you need, as I said, your neighborhood advisor is right there with you. He or she will tell you how you need to plan. But I have no doubt in my mind that from here, if you are planning your investments, and I can pause here to take some questions, and of course we can chat on some more topics in case I've missed out. But I will just summarize my thoughts by saying that I believe interest rate environment is conducive. I do not see any reason why investors should panic, whether it is in equity or it is fixed income as an asset class. Despite what we have seen in the last 30 to 40 days, you have seen 3-year returns have never bungled up. So stick to your investment horizon. You know who is our biggest enemy when we make investments? It is not anybody. Don't keep looking left, right, north, south. It is just our greed and fear. Panic la exit pannidrom because we are fearful, and then we lose money. And then when the yields start coming down, 100% yield, we say, what happened in Jan 2009, September 2008, global financial crisis happened. Lehman collapsed, Best went bankrupt, and every world central banker started cutting interest rates. On the time we were all very fearful. Guilt fund. Jan 2009, when interest rates came down to 4%, we actually saw money is actually coming into guilt fund. What was the outcome? That was greed, because you saw last returns. Somebody is unmuted. Can you please put yourself on mute? I can't recognize it. Is some one HWCS, some phone. Please put yourself on mute. It's causing disturbance. So they saw the last 3 months return, 1 year return, and loads of money actually they pumped into gilt funds. What was the outcome? 2009, entire year gilt funds gave negative return. And then what people concluded, rombave mosham, we cannot invest money in fixed income. That is what happened. So therefore I would, but 2009 investor who stayed on for the negative in 2010, 2012, if you see the return, that was positive. Gilt fund gave positive return for that 3-year period. So stick to your investment horizon. Interest rate environment is conducive. You must allocate to fixed income on a risk adjusted basis. At Kotak, we are very much of the philosophy that in this market scenario, it is return of capital, not return on capital. We will focus on the risk adjusted return. It is okay to make little less money. That is completely your choice. Of course, we can, as we talk about Q&A, we can discuss that more in detail. We do not think inflationary tendencies are going to be very big, at least in the whole of 2020. We need to worry about that. That is a villain that will keep coming, even if if the movie has got Rajinikanth as a superstar, that movie also has a villain. So today, if interest rates are the hero, even the villain called inflation will come back at some point in time. But do we have to worry about now? Movie is just started. Starting movie, I have never seen villain coming in. Starting it is always hero, heroine, 2-3 songs, and then the villain starts coming in subsequently. So that is the format that even we are going to follow as far as the financial markets are concerned. And last but not the least, as I said, stick to your asset allocation. If your advisor has told you, sir, unga risk you can put 70-30, or madam, your risk is so much, you can put 60-40, 60% equity, 40% debt. For some reason, if that has become 57, please remove that money from debt and put it into equity. And if there is a runaway rally, for some reason that 70-30 has become 71, please remove that 1 rupee and put that money into fixed income. Please don't use too much of Google Buddhi, because Google Buddhi too much if we use, our intellect doesn't come too handy. And last but not the least, people tell a lot of, equity is given negative return, debt is not doing well. Let me put my money into gold. Trust me, each one of us sitting in this room have enormous amount of gold. You and me don't even have a count of gold. Some have gold in the pillow, some have gold in their bathroom, some have gold in the bedroom. Gold nobody even has a clue, because we don't value gold. From the time we are born, we are told gold vanginde Akshaya Tritiya, gold vanganam, Dhanteras, gold, Diwali, gold. Everywhere we go, even if we go to Sharvana stores, we'll hunt for gold. So please don't be under the mindset that gold has never given negative returns. Today, 1 year return is looking extremely positive. If you would have seen the same return 1.5 years back, even 3-year return was not outperforming Kotak Bank fixed deposit. So it is a cycle. Today's cycle is the safety cycle, and that is the reason gold is outperforming. So be happy about it. Don't confuse it with financial asset class allocation. So I will pause here. If we have any questions, if you have any observations, I'm very happy to take it on.
Yeah, thank you, Lakshmi. That was a crisp talk. One, people would like to know about is on the economy. Your views on the economy. How is it? We have been seeing a series of announcement from the government. Of course, this 20 lakh crore announcement was one which came in, and your ideal views on what it is and how a retail investor or
Can you speak a bit louder? We are not able to hear. Volume, little higher volume.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, I will try to raise my voice. I was saying a view on economy, because there has been a lot of announcement which was happening from the government. So what are it? How it is going to improve the investors' position over the period of time. Probably many of them may not be immediate, but what is that? You are thinking any input on that will be very helpful, Lakshmi.
Sure. So as I mentioned, right now the economy is actually on steroids. Not only India, but world over, the economy needs steroids to come out of this massive slowdown which has occurred because of this lockdown across the country. Even now as we speak, it's not really come out of complete hiding. The discretionary spends are down. But I was talking to some automakers yesterday. They were saying that the car bookings have started going up. Two-wheelers have started going up, which means that people are no longer confident of renting a vehicle. They want to probably own their cars. That could be one of the reasons. So you will see the economy limping back to recovery slowly but steadily. But till then, it requires treatment. So what is that treatment? the government has announced an expenditure program. If you look at the month of April to September, which is the first half of financial year 2021, there is a over leakage or there is a shoot up in the government borrowing program. Now, why has that happened? That is because the fiscal deficit for this year is going to shoot. Official numbers are not yet out, but unofficially, the central deficit plus the state deficit put together is already estimated to be north of 10 to 10.5%. So that itself is telling you that there is a good amount of uptick in this entire borrowing program. And look at similar thing is happening in the world. Look at what US is doing. US is buying anything and everything. You know, US is like a scrap dealer. If you were to say, you know, in your house, if you have old newspaper, what do? You call a Raddiwala and you give it to him. That is what US is doing. US is buying everything. US treasuries, corporate bonds, junk bonds, treasury, ellame, kanna pinnane, they are going and buying everything. That is because they are saying that we need to give steroids to the economy. So that's exactly what is happening in India. So fiscal overshoot is there. Recently on the economic data point, and I missed sharing this with you all when I spoke, is that we had the trade data that was released. So I told you gold imports were down. Our total imports are down 50%. Our exports are also down, but our exports are down only 35%. So because of that, there has been a narrowing of the trade deficit. So very big positive from an Indian economic standpoint. And because of this, for the entire year FY 2021, we will end up in a current account surplus. Small amount, 0.5% or so, but doesn't matter. And because of that, our balance of payment also is going to be in a surplus. We will be close to about $50 billion. Estimate originally was $20-25 billion. So I would say that these are the positives from an economic standpoint. So these are the positives from an economic standpoint, according to me. And therefore, I believe that right now, the steroids which are being pumped into the economy are certainly going to aid the health. But if you are expecting miracles to happen overnight, it is not going to happen. Which is why practically every company you speak with, they actually end up telling you, please forget FY21. FY21, I'm not going to give you any great guidance on earnings. It is also useful for this audience to know today that the last guidance that US gave about the US economy, the Fed gave, was in December 2019. We're already in June 2020. They have still not given any guidance. How can you give a guidance? Even the central banker in India, Reserve Bank, has not given a GDP estimate because it is like a toss of a coin. Bed to the right side, you're saying -3%. Bed to the left side, you're saying it is -10%. So the estimates are very, very wide as to where the Indian economic GDP growth will be in terms of negative numbers. But as I said, your guess will be as good as mine. So therefore, FY21 will be still turbulent, will still be a challenge. But towards the later part of FY21, there is hope of definite hopes of recovery. You are on mute.
Sorry, we have started getting the questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
What our request is that please avoid questions with respect to equities. We are getting some questions with respect to equities and all, but I will try to take the questions with respect to general economy or debt. First question comes from Mr. Anand. Is asking what are the general signs of recovery? Which sectors can get recovered quickly? That is what the question is.
See, I was seeing an infographic today, which was saying how auto sector is linked across, so auto has got supply chain, auto has got auto ancillaries, it's got a backward integration with the unorganized sector because they are giving a recruitment to the Uber and Ola drivers, for example. So there's a lot of integration. So auto sector is certainly one such sector. So keep tracking auto numbers, both four-wheelers, two-wheelers, to get you you a feel as to what's happening in the rural part of the country also. From whatever I'm interacting with a lot of manufacturers and companies, I'm getting a feel that rural India, villages of India are faster to recover, and numbers will show you that. So the two-wheeler and the auto sales on that side will, or the tractor sales example, for example, will give you a feeler. Look at the financial markets, the finance sector, especially the banking sector, because when there is activity, you start seeing lending. Look at certain consumer non-bank finance companies, like a Bajaj Auto, like a Muthoot Finance, who are into gold loan, or one is into CV loan or consumer durable loan. Are they showing signs of growth? Look at companies like HDFC. What kind of results are they reporting? So these are the certain key sectors. See, pharma has been bellwether, IT has been bellwether, FMCG, no problem. I was chatting with Britannia Treasury last week, and they said that they have a record sales in the month of May. Now, why? Because we are all storing and locking up a lot of food and food items in our house. Likewise, Hindustan Unilever, we are all consuming not only Lifebuoy soap, but Lifebuoy sanitizer, and all of that is happening. So FMCGs will not give you any incremental clarity, but these are some of the sectors that you clearly need to keep in mind to get some sort of an inkling. The leaders of the sector or leaders which will lead the pack from an economic standpoint will keep changing from time to time, but the bellwethers in this segment are something that you need to keep tracking out.
Thank you, Lakshmi. It was a crisp answer. Mr. Venkat Narasimhan Vaidyanathan is asking, can you please help to explain how side pocketing of funds help in NAV management, and how recovery of funds will be distributed to unit holders?
So the side pocketing is purely to protect the interest of the existing unit holders. What it means is that there is an NAV, there is 100 rupees in an NAV. So let's take 10 for arithmetical ease. Out of 10 rupees assets, 1 rupee asset has gone bad. I have valued it lower, but because money can keep coming in a fund, open-ended fund, money can keep going out in an open-ended fund. And if I know that it is not a bankrupt company, I will recover some value going forward. But the investors who took that loss are, say, in that, assuming there were only 2 investors in that fund, in that 10 rupees NAV, and 1 rupee went bad. Assume I didn't side pocket. And somebody has insider information, oh, you know what, this fund has written down this to 0, but the recovery will be 50 rupees. So what will happen? 2 investors took the loss, but there are 5 more investors with this information. They will come inside this fund. This is a non-segregated or non-side pocketed fund. So when the gain happens, 50 rupees loss, 2 investors. 100 rupee loss, 2 investors. 50 rupee gain, 5 investors. So imagine if you and me were those 2 investors, we took 50 rupees of loss, but when we had to gain, look at how much we gained. 5 investors who came in plus 2 of us are already there. 7 investors are gaining profit of that 50 rupees. So 50 divided by 7. So that is the reason SEBI said, please side pocket. By side pocketing, a fund house is doing justice to the existing unit holders, so that when the 100 rupees was lost and I am segregating it, this set of investors are protected on that. So when you keep getting fresh money, we are not stopping, you're not stopping that fund from getting inflows. When the fresh flows are coming, the segregated portfolio, they don't get a slice of it. So that is the advantage of side pocketing. So the loss that has been borne by 2 investors, even the profit that will accrue going forward will come only to those 2 investors. So that is the reason you need to do side pocketing. And your query was NAV management. So this is how the NAV is managed and how recovery of funds will be distributed to unit holders. So that side, on that day of side pocketing, as I said, that 1 rupee which I removed, there were only 2 investors. When the money comes in or when the profit comes in, it is only those 2 unit holders which will get the money. That is the reason you need to do the side pocketing.
Thank you. Superb. We request all participants to type your question on the chat, so that we will be in a position to take it forward. Meanwhile, we have got 2 more questions. this has been asked by Mr. Prabhu. He's asking, can you say Templeton-like scenario will not happen in other mutual funds? Very tough
Sir,
question.
I take an insurance on my life. I am still reasonably young, but I still take an insurance on my life. You know why? Because I know my life is uncertain. And in these kind of market scenarios, it is incrementally uncertain. But I do yoga in the morning. I do a lot of walk. I do a lot of physical exercise, and of course meditation to keep myself mentally fit. So I know that my immunity levels are reasonably high. Now, I know your question is not on physical health or mental health, but I gave you this analogy to tell you that I will assign a reasonably high chance that if you are, invested in a reasonably well pedigreed fund house, then chances of an FT occurrence. Sir, last 35, 40 days, 23rd April FT occurred, 24th April to 24th of May, you have the data. Mutual fund is like X-ray. Look at the kind of outflows everybody has. We also had outflows. My AUM came down by 50%. I'm still surviving. I'm still smiling. I'm still in front of you. So that is the answer. So there is no assurance that it will not happen. I cannot say this with 10 on 10 certainty, but the chances of something like this happening are very, very negligible. It is like mortality rate in case of COVID. COVID can happen or no, you do not know. How is the mortality rate? We know it's extremely low. So I would say that chances like Franklin, and see, one needs to understand that underlying portfolios are something which will guide you and give you a flavor as to what is the kind of liquidity that lies in those funds. So therefore, I still believe that FT was a completely isolated case, and it is not necessary that it should be extrapolated into other funds or other fund houses.
Yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi. And this question comes from Mr. Sridhar. He is asking, what is your view on banking and PSU debt funds? Are they preferred investment option in the current scenario?
See, today everybody wants to stay indoors. You know, nobody wants to go out. I am telling people go out and at least get some air, but wear a mask. Why I gave this example is to tell you that everybody wants only banking and PSU. Because of that, all of us are buying only bank CDs and PSUs. And the result of which is the yields have come down. Yesterday, Exim raised 5-year bond. So 2025 bond at 5.25%. 5.25% 5-year bond. Why? Because mutual funds are getting money in these funds. We are buying more and more, which is okay. The problem is 2026 Government of India bond. Exim is owned by Government of India. So, you know, it is a Government of India shareholding. It is still a public sector undertaking bond. Government of India 2026 government gilt is available at 5.35, 10 basis point more than Exim. So the point I'm trying to say is that there is a life beyond PSUs. Yes, PSU is a good bet in this market, no doubt about it. But I think you can stagger, you can, have a nice mix of portfolio with corporate bonds, with a PSU bond fund, with short-term bond fund, and create a nice balance on your portfolio so that there is a moderate duration and very low interest or very low credit risk. This fund will clearly be top of the mind in terms of recall, but at least have a 3-year investment outlook, because most of these PSU funds are actually running durations in the band of about 3 to 4.5 years. So there is moderate interest rate risk, but the credit risk is very, very low in these kind of funds. So 3 to 5 years, if you have tax-free bonds, will these category funds outperform tax-free bonds? My answer is yes.
So Mr. Srinivasan Murthy's question is, what is the strategy for economy to rebound after COVID?
There is absolutely no strategy. It is only, you say, throwing darts in the blind, only throwing darts in the dark. Only difference is that you are not blind. I think that is the only difference. So there is darkness all around, but the people who are throwing the darts are obviously doing it with open eyes, hoping that all what they have done, whether it is the central banker or whether it is the Government of India, the only wish and pray is that all that has been done will actually hit the chord in the right direction. No medical practitioner in the world has an answer to when will COVID end. So therefore, the end game in sight is only when there is a reasonable end game for COVID in sight, which today, unfortunately, as I said, we can all make educated guesses. We have doctors in the family. We must be doctors. There might be doctors in this room also. So we can just take educated guesses. But frankly, there cannot be a strategy to be planned after COVID. But one thing is very sure: the day this ends, all this ends, the kind of excesses that the world central bankers have created, we have created a tsunami of liquidity in the banking system. That liquidity will have to be sucked out. Today, you are injecting steroids. Tomorrow you will have to do liposuction. That in medical parlance is inevitable. So that liposuction, the sooner your country will do, as and when you get a feeling, the faster you will be on the path to economic recovery.
Yeah. Thanks. And there are questions with respect to equity. I will try to modify the question bit. The question is about why index is going up. That is what the thing is. But I would like to say why this kind of liquidity. That is what the question is coming in. So if you could write why this kind of liquidity is coming at this point of time, if you could able to throw some light.
Yeah, in fact, Aake, there are two related questions. So I will try to do justice to both those queries, because one was related to Sensex, which is in a way related to liquidity. And I will bring in the query on the mid caps and large caps also here.
Yeah.
So now what is happening is that fundamentals aside, market is also floating on momentum. And when I say momentum, as I said, there is a tsunami of liquidity. Money is available cheap. As we speak, 1/3 of the world is in negative interest rates. What do you do with that money? In India, our wholesale inflation is negative, consumer inflation is positive, no problem. What do you do with this kind of money? The money has to find its way somewhere, no? So it is finding its way into all of these world markets. Look at India has still underperformed, compared to US. Look at S&P, look at NASDAQ. They're all almost erased the entire gains for 2020 from where they started off in the month of January. But I think what is also important for you all to know in this room is that there is a huge polarization. When I say polarization in India, whether it is Sensex or Nifty, it is 12 or 15 stocks that are pulling up the entire index. It is not the entire 50 or 30 stocks. Likewise, in S&P 500, it is 30 stocks which are pulling up the entire S&P 500. And I think it is that polarization, whether it is in India, whether it is financials in India, financials are 40% of the index. Likewise, in the US, it is IT sector or the tech, which is close to 35% of the index. So in India, it's the financials which are leading the rally. Selectively in the oil and gas space, it is Reliance which has done. In the telecom space, it is Bharti which has done, because there are a lot of turnaround stories. You would have read the news that Reliance has actually become virtually debt free. The money is yet to come in, but 1,68,000 crores they have raised, which makes them virtually net debt free from a total aggregate debt of over 2 lakh crores. So all that will play positively into the market sentiments. So equity markets have also rejoiced and bond markets have also rejoiced because of that. So tsunami of liquidity, till the time it does not abate, one needs to be mindful how you are actually deploying your money. Not investing is not the solution. And that is where I link in the earlier question. There was this query on whether SIP should continue. I absolutely see no reason why SIP should be stopped. In fact, if you are doing small cap and mid cap, there is no sudden spurt in small and mid cap. There is spurt in certain stocks. There are certain, I call them in our Bombay parlance, I call them CBM stocks. I don't think any of you know what CBM means. I call it chor bane more. Chor bane more, matlab thief has suddenly overnight got feathers and it has started dancing. So these are the kind of stocks that are doing exceedingly well. Be mindful of these. Please do not get into temptations to buy these stocks. Yes, small and mid cap looks good, but yes, it is looking a little bit stretched. So therefore, please stagger your investments. So if you do SIP, absolutely fine. If you do SIP, STP, putting your money in a liquid or ultra short term fund and staggered money into these, absolutely no problem. But please don't give in to the temptation of buying these CBM stocks. Do it at your own risk.
Yeah, thanks, Lakshmi. There is a question which is coming on. When the markets became volatile some time back, why there was a outflow, but particularly why this outflows happen when things become little nervous? That is what one of the questions.
Yeah, but that I want all of you all to answer. You know, we are almost what 55 people in this room. It is our collective behavior. It is all of you that decide when the markets are going down and when they will go up. So
No,
I'll tell you what happens.
yeah. His question is with respect to FII flows. Why this
Oh,
FIIs
FII.
are
See,
yeah.
okay. Have you seen this movie Thugs of Hindustan? There's an Amir Khan movie, super flop padam. At least I didn't enjoy the movie. But the Thugs of Hindustan, there is that Amir Khan's name is Firangi Malla. Now, Firangi na foreign. Now, this Firangi Malla is literally the Thug of Hindustan. Now, what is happening is that they are saying that, okay, you know, I will remove my money from India. I will go and put my money in US. Because most of them are foreign investors. Coming from developed nation. So there is an EM to DM switch. Emerging market, money moving out to developed market. It is not happening only in India, it is happening in the rest of the world. They are fearing that they think that India is third world country, India will get downgraded. And you know, last whole week and this whole week also, I've been having loads of calls with foreign investors. The good news is that in the month of May and June, some money in equities has actually come back. This month also, month to date, we are positive in equities from foreign investors. We are negative in fixed income. It's a matter of time that they realize that our currency is not come under pressure. You know, another interesting data point I must share with you. In the last 90 to 100 days, most of the emerging markets, their foreign exchange reserves have dipped. But look at India. Our foreign exchange reserves are $503 billion at all-time high. So what we are doing over here, when everybody are dancing, we are actually saving our energies. We are actually creating Brahmastra. So we are creating this Brahmastra so that if there were to be a currency war and foreigners get jittery, we actually have these foreign exchange reserves to actually support our economy. So I think foreign investors are fair weather friends. They will come back the moment they realize that on a dollar basis they've only made money in India, which is the reality. Sooner than later you will actually see them come back.
Yeah, thanks, Lakshmi. This question is again from Mr. Venkat Narasimhan. He is asking about bond ETFs. So why there are more bond ETFs coming in? What are the realistic expectation in terms of credit safety and returns? That is what his question is.
So today you only have Bharat Bond ETF, which is the initiative of Government of India, where they want more and more PSUs to get money. See, in India, no, bonds are extremely illiquid. So people don't understand the concept of buy and hold. They will buy gold forever, they'll buy real estate forever. But when it comes to bonds, they want to keep looking at NAVs and trading. So therefore, bond ETFs, while it is popular in the rest of the world, it is not very popular in India. Bharat Bond ETF was the first of its kind, which saw some kind of an improvement. So I think you will see more and more those initiatives being taken. But on a full-fledged basis, I think gilt ETF is a very good idea. So if government is very serious, in fact, I have had a couple of dialogues with some entities also in the central banking. Why gilt ETF is a good idea. Today, the entire gilt industry is not even 12,000 crores. The entire retail money, more than 90,000 crores actually in tax-free bonds. So if we can create a vibrant gilt ETF market, I think that will be a good idea. Credit ETFs are not a great idea because credit markets need to develop much more in India. And your second part was what would be a realistic expectation in terms of credit safety and returns. I think those with respect to PSU ETFs, as I said, are extremely safe in terms of credit. In terms of returns, as I told you, they will be the least in terms of returns because PSUs are the best in the line. So obviously they will not give you the best return. And safety, you don't need to worry. As I said, they're all subsidiaries of Government of India. So you do not need to worry about safety.
Thank you. So the next question is, when crude prices are down, the petrol diesel prices are going up in India, will it not cause inflation when economy limps back?
No, it will, when it limps back, it will create inflation. For now, it will not create inflation because last I filled petrol in my car or diesel in my car was 1st of March or 1st or 2nd week of March, first week of March. After that, I have not filled. So even if petrol prices have gone up, how does it matter? Or even if we are having a two-wheeler, how many of us are actually filling? So though the prices have gone up, there is no demand push. or there is no demand pull, which is leading to more and more monies trying to chase that good. With a lag, yes, if crude price, see, I would be worried if crude oil prices keep going up. Only then we need to worry, but the prices of crude have come down so much that even if it goes up by 25-30%, I don't think it is going to be inflationary in that sense. RBI's target for inflation is close to about 4%. Today, as I said, wholesale index is in a deflationary zone. I won't be surprised if the CPI inflation is very flattish, 0.5% to 1%. So we don't need to worry about rising fuel prices right now. We need to be worried only if the global crude oil prices will go up and continue to keep going up.
Thanks. Again, this question is with respect to foreign equity funds, but I'll re-modify. Is there just because we are not talking about equity now, so I'll re-modify. Is there any sense in looking at foreign investment opportunities? That is something which will be easy to look at.
See, my view is a lot of investors are doing the rare view driving by looking at the S&P and the NASDAQ returns people are putting in money. My view is please stay away from those temptations. If you genuinely have, some liabilities in dollars, for example, you want to buy a house in outside India, you have education requirements, or you're sending money to your child or your spouse or your whoever, your relative outside India. For those reasons, if you want to make some investments, keep it outside India, only then do it. It is not stylish to diversify for the sake of it. I think India has got a plethora of opportunities, and this is not any nationalist in me talking. This is the realist in me talking. I believe there are enough. I don't have a single money of mine. I also have, feeder funds, etc., which invest offshore. I don't have even 1 rupee, 1 naya paisa of my money outside of India, and I'm very happy and very satisfied. Yes, I might want to do it if I have to plan my son's education, etc., where we have, the $250,000 or $300,000 route. But otherwise, don't make it a fad to invest outside India just because there are returns. There is enough and more, Kashmirs of the world in India. You don't really every time need to look out for Switzerland.
Yeah, thank you. And here it is an interesting question from Mr. Kumar. Do you think the NPA problems and credit problems have already come to an end in India? If at all, if some pain is left out, what kind of pain is left out?
No, the NPA problems are far from over. When Hiroshima bombing happened, a lot of people died, all that happened, atomic explosion, everything is done. So when things subsided, there was something known as black rain. And that black rain also led to a lot of deformities in people. So that black rain phase for India post-COVID is still pending. So I don't think that the NPA cycle is far from over. On the credit side, yes, you might see more downgrades because, as I said, we are on an economic downturn right now. Once the economic upturn happens, it has to sustain. Once that sustains, then you will start seeing upgrades. But I think it's important to know that every downgrade is not equal to a default. In that, I would like to show you the differentiation between a mutual fund book and a banking book. Mutual funds life start with AAA and end with AA minus and very limited A or A plus. The bank's life start only with A plus and below and go up to BBB minus. So they have a bigger problem. They have a bigger monster to kill. We have all small villains or thing to slay, which I don't think, which is in the form of downgrades, etc. So I don't think it's a problem. But as I said, the banking system NPA situation has not settled. There is some more dirty linen to be washed in public.
Okay. Thanks. Mr. Vasudevan's question is about government borrowing plan with respect to retail investors. Will there be more bonds coming in from government or tax-free bonds? This is what his question is.
So, my head says there will be a proposal. My heart says there should not be. I'll tell you why. Because tax-free bonds, instead of tax-free bonds, government should actually launch or float gilt ETFs. Trust me, you put your money in gilt ETFs for 10, 15, 20 years. That is the power of retail money in India. And we will help government actually reduce the fiscal deficit. Tax-free bonds in some way also will help the same cause. But my view is that a gilt ETF or a gilt proposal, a mammoth gilt fund will be a better solution. So at some point in time towards the second half of the year, I won't be surprised that if we see issuance of tax-free bonds by the public sector entities, because they would want to plug some fiscal deficit for Government of India.
Thank you. And Mr. Selvaraj has one more question. His question is with respect to: is it likely that Indian economy will bounce back faster than developed market, and in particularly China?
Uh, how much ever I would like to say yes, I believe it's a little bit difficult because, and I have to be very candid. I can't. I'm not on TV, so I have to give you a realistic picture. We will bounce back. Okay, there is no doubt about it. Even today, our growth is faster than China. That is also the reality. But please understand, we all need to appreciate that China gave us the virus. They originated, but they are out of it. Might be some small relapse etc has occurred, but we are in the midst of it. So till the time the cloud settles or the dust settles with respect to COVID, it is very difficult to say this with thumping chest that, oh, we are going to recover faster. A die-hard Indian fan obviously would love to say that. As far as the DMs are concerned, I think the developed world is pumping way too much steroids. As I said, they're like scrap dealers. They're buying anything and everything that they're finding. It's like a vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner is not differentiating between good junk and bad junk. Everything is junk. So they're just sucking it up. So we are not doing that. So yes, it will be for us a journey on the uphill will be slightly more arduous than the rest of them, but uphill we will climb and top we will reach for sure.
Thank you. I think that is the end of the chat box questions. If anybody has any question, they would like to come online and ask the question, you can raise your hands. Probably I will try to unmute, or you can unmute yourself and you can raise the question also. So not seeing any hands. Of course.
Come to main gate.
Sorry. Okay. So right. So I think somebody unmuted. Sir, do you have any question? I could not able to see the name of this person. So you have any questions, sir? 1HWC. That is I could not able to get it. Right. Lakshmi, the main thing is there was no clarity with respect to economy. There was clarity with respect to asset classes. There were clarity with respect to the things. So currently, a lot of interest is seen in terms of this AAA and above papers. You are also saying that there will be spreads which will come down, and you were quoting the example of Exim Bank, which borrowed at a lowest rate. In fact, you are saying that this gilt is even available higher than the thing. One important thing which investor asked me now privately is with respect to this gilt, what you are talking about. Is there a trend where gilt can further give us returns, because we have been seeing great returns in the recent past? Can this trend continue with more down interest rate down means interest rate going down, and gilt can perform and it can give us more returns like what it has happened in the recent past? Can you throw some
the interest rate easing cycle is not yet over. So if that interest rate cycle easing is not over, can we expect more rate cuts? Answer is yes. When will it happen? Only two people know. One is government and one is governor. I am neither of them, so I do not know. But I can put a guess that I said we've seen two back-to-back rate cuts. So the next one may not happen in August. It will happen more likely in October. But if COVID situation worsens, things are going to be hopeless in July and all of that, the worst case scenario happens, then August could be another rate cut. So I think there is still some juice left on the gilt side. We could see some rally. But more importantly, I think you need to appreciate that, there will be whipsawed movements, and as a fund house or as a fund manager, the job of the fund manager is to try to capture those moments to your advantage, which is exactly what we will do. So if you ask me active versus passive in fixed income, where should you lie? My view is you should actually be into a gilt fund or a dynamic bond fund which has good allocation and representation to government bonds, and there is money to be made. And for those who are not faint hearted, I would still stick my neck out and say that out of 100 rupee, you can still put 30-35 rupees into credit funds, well-managed credit funds with durations in the band of 1.5 to 2 years, because there is enough and more juice in the corporate bond space to see spread compression. So the remainder of 2021 financial year, I'm sticking my neck out that there will be no material accidents as far as mutual funds go, or the well-managed ones will still continue to be well-managed, and there will be spread compression as we actually come out of this crisis towards economic progress. While economic progress may come with a lag, the spread compression will happen much faster. As I said, but that's not for faint-hearted. If you are those, who are popping in pills and looking at news channels, then you should stick to dynamic bond or gilt funds or
Thank you.
PSU funds.
Yeah, PSUs. Thank you. So any questions, anybody, if you could able to raise the hands, or no, if nothing is there, we have to close the session. So I'm not seeing much question in the chat box. If anybody has a question, you can raise the questions. Right. So I think, yeah, now the feedbacks have started coming in, Lakshmi. So nice of you. It was a very, short notice. We could able to have you here, and as always, the way you could able to correlate and, give the things in the simplest form has been, amazing. So this has been continuing, and thanks a lot. It has been a wonderful time for our investors, particularly with respect to those economy and questions. And I'm also much thrilled by the fact there were a lot of questions which were there, and hope people would have got clarity.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, and thanks the entire Kotak team who has organized on this note. And thanks a lot. At one point of time, we had almost 70 participants who have been there today. Despite having a lot of work, and with the shortest notice, you could also able to take time and spend this time together. Hope to see you soon with some more useful sessions. Thank you. Thanks, Lakshmi, once again, and thanks all.
Take care. Bye. See you. Stay safe and have a great weekend. See you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Mom.